Good evening. I'm about to tell you how we're not all about lad culture, and I've just been introduced as the lads and wandered up with a bottle of Stella in my hand. So welcome to LADbible. I'm Dave Mason. I'm the head of software engineering here. The guys are going to be doing a great talk tonight on local to live, which is how we get code from our dev machines into production. We've just spent a lot of time rebuilding that. I'm really proud of it, and it's a really good talk. But first, what I wanted to do was give you guys a brief introduction to LADbible and what we do. So the bad news is I need a little bit of participation for this. So could you do me a favour and stick your hand in the air if you'd heard of LADbible before this meetup group? Good. Okay, could you put your hand in the air again if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Twitter or any of the things? Yeah, you can admit to it, it's okay, we're all right. Cool, so that's about half the room. So that roughly ties in with the stats. So now I need someone to shout a word out. If you had to sum up your impression of LADbible in one word, what word would it be? And I'm genuinely nervous about this.
Banter.
Banter, there it is. Top bants, lols, memes, lolcats, lads as lads, all of that. So I only started here about 3 months ago. So about 5 months ago, that was my impression of LADbible. Since then, I've found out a lot that surprised me. So I wanted to try and just take you through that journey in about 5 minutes. In terms of engagement, we are the biggest social publisher in the English-speaking world. We get more engagement than Fox, CNN, Daily Mail, New York Times, Washington Post, BBC right down there at the bottom. We've got an absolutely massive reach. Our audience is on a bigger scale than I've ever worked with before, and it's really interesting. So that's not something you achieve just with lolcats. There's quite a lot more to it than that. In September, we actually dropped down to second place, and if you followed the news, we just bought first place. So we are very much in a dominant position in our market at the moment. So I want to tell you a little bit about our audience because it's not what you'd think. If you'd asked me a few months ago, I would have thought it was this guy. And to be fair, when we were running things like Cleavage Thursday, then it probably would have been. But I'm very pleased to say that our brand has matured and grown up a lot since then, and certainly diversified. And so has our content. So if you look at the actual split of people that visit the LADbible website, it's almost a 50-50 split between men and women now. And in terms of age groups, rookie. In terms of age groups, it's actually 25 to 34 is the dominant. We get more in the 35 to 44 age bracket than we do in 18 to 24. So it is a maturing audience, and we need to care about what our audience cares about. That's why we're so successful doing what we do. So the next question I had when I was trying to figure LADbible out was, how does it actually make any money? We do a lot on the programmatic ad side of things, obviously, but because our brand has grown and matured and is a much more respectable brand than it once was, we've been able to partner with some pretty major players. So, and we try to do campaigns that are socially beneficial. So we've worked with the RNLI on Respect the Water, don't drink and swim. So don't go swimming after this. We've done the Free to Be campaign, which is about raising awareness of LGBT+ issues. We've done In My Personal Space with Wrigley's, which is about chewing gum. And but we've done that bottom right one is with the Home Office, which is about raising awareness of issues around underage sex. This is quite important stuff and stuff that people need to be aware of and talk about. And I'm very proud to work for a company that's been involved with this stuff. So our values, we run our own campaigns as well. Now this isn't something that we do for profit, this is something that we do because we should. Because we've got such a big audience, I think it's important that we use that to try and make the world a bit of a better place. And as a result, we've launched a few campaigns. We launched Trash Isles. Apparently, in the Pacific Ocean, there is an island of plastic floating around that is roughly the same size as France. Which is just you can't even imagine how big that must be. And it's no surprise that our marine life is suffering as a result of it. So what we did was we tried to, we are running a campaign to get the Trash Isles recognised as a country by the United Nations. So you can actually register as a citizen through our website. We've got Dame Judi Dench to be the Queen of the Trash Isles. And yeah, we've got a lot of engagement with that, and I think, you know, plastic in the oceans is becoming quite a big thing now. It's not just us, a lot of people are talking about it, but we've done our little bit to help that, and that's good. You okay, mate? This is something that's really important to me. Suicide's still the biggest killer of men under the age of 45, which is unbelievable, more than car crashes, more than cancer. So the You OK Mate campaign is about letting our audience know that it's okay to talk and that there's help out there if you need it. And the campaign we've just launched is Extinct. So it turns out, and I've got chapter notes on this, there are 5,583 critically endangered species on the planet. Now I've got 2 young kids, and I don't want to have to be telling them when they grow up about elephants and tigers and stuff like that because they don't exist anymore. So we've kicked off this campaign, and again, I think it's starting to become part of the national conversation now, and a brand like ours with a reach that we've got is able to contribute to that. But we're here to talk about tech, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our tech stack as well. So as I mentioned, we're actually currently rebuilding all the things. So we've been able to sort of redesign our tech stack from the ground up. We're going on a journey at the moment from statically generated content to a dynamic website. We're not there yet, so I'm not going to talk too much about it because the proof of the pudding and all that. But the kind of things that we're using, we've got Cloudflare on the front end, so we're using Cloudflare Service Workers for edge computing, which is pretty cool, and we're doing caching up at that layer and SSL and all that stuff. React, she's Emotion, which is CSS in JS. Using Node.JS on the server with GraphQL, we've got a Redis cluster as a caching layer under that. Is all in Kubernetes, and that's managed Kubernetes in G-Cloud. So that's our tech stack. This is the bit where I'm supposed to say that we're hiring, but I'm actually not. So I'm going to play hard to get. But we might be at some point. And if you think this stuff sounds cool, or if you just like to find out a bit more about it, then do feel free to tap me up afterwards, and I'm happy to have a chat. And that's me. So right, I'm going to hand over to Phil. Thanks for listening.
We're going to talk about the main topic of this talk. We're kind of doing it as a couple of lightning talks, which is quite good. But we're going to go through how we go from local to live. So it's mostly around sort of our CI processes and stuff like that. We generally are aiming towards a continuous delivery model, so we've done a lot of work around that over the last sort of month or so, just to get that in place. We're relying a lot on Circle CI to do a lot of our sort of CI stuff, rather than like Jenkins or anything like that. Generally, so what I'll do is I'll quickly go through the process. It always goes well with these things. So I'll just go through the process that we generally go through. Oh, sorry, better? Yes, apologies. I get a bit quiet sometimes. Yeah, we generally use a mix of, as Dave was saying, GitHub, Docker, Kubernetes, and Circle CI to achieve all of the stuff that we do. We generally use master as our sort of primary branch, so everything works off there. That's what gets sort of deployed into production quite regularly. So we'll generally start off by branching off master. We'll do all of our development in something like Docker, just to kind of keep inconsistencies as low as possible between our local environments and our production environments, and everywhere else in between. After that, once we then do a push-up, I'm actually one step ahead on the thing. Once you get up to the staging part, once you do a push-up to GitHub, we then sort of kick off our staging builds. So this is all stuff around where we detect that you've done something new. We will then spin up a new Kubernetes cluster on Google Cloud. And then at that point we create a custom staging environment or QA environment for each individual feature branch that we do. From there, we then just run all of our testing against that and all of our code reviews and stuff like that. If that's all good and everyone's happy with it, we merge that into master, which then kicks off our prod process. So that's where we then destroy all of the staging environments that we've spun up, just kind of as a thing. And then we deploy straight to production using the master branch. So, because most of this relies on Circle CI, this is what Circle CI is. It's a continuous delivery platform. It's designed to automate a lot of the tasks. We like to use it because it's easy, but really configurable, making it really powerful. Integrates with the tooling we use, such as Cloudflare, Google Cloud, GitHub, and Docker. And because it's software as a service, it's really low maintenance, as long as GitHub doesn't go down. But what I'll do is I'll hand you over to Veli, who'll just go through the rest of the stuff.
Hi there, I'm Veli, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we actually use Circle CI and a little bit more in depth in the process. So Circle CI use something called workflows. So workflows, as it says here, it's a set of jobs that you run in specific order. It's basically just a YAML file. Can you hear me? Yeah. So it's just a YAML file. It's very well documented. I'm not going to go in depth how we do that. We can share some links after the talk, but just a quick Google search and you can find all the information that you need about that. So here you can see this is a visual representation of our workflow on the top of this slide. This is what you're going to see if you go to the Circle CI website, if you log into the app. So as you can see, I will just go briefly through each step of the process. So the first step is build, and what happened here is pretty standard. We spin up a Docker container. So the Circle CI spins up the Docker container. Then it runs yarn. This installs all dependencies and bundles up the JavaScript code with Webpack, all those stuff. If that fails at some point, this will stop the build, it will fail the build, and it will report back to GitHub. So whoever is responsible for that can take some actions. The next step is linting. So we run the linter against the code. Again, if that fails, just reports back to GitHub. And the final step is test. Joey will talk more about that after me. So I will, basically we run the tests, and if they fail, the build will fail. Now, this is the more interesting bit, so the deploy. So once that Docker container is built, the app is built, everything runs fine, we actually deploy that to Kubernetes. And this is done with Kubernetes CLI. It's a very simple, just one line of bash script, and you get your Docker container running in a cluster in Kubernetes. So once we have that, then we push the DNS to a specific DNS for this branch. We push it to Cloudflare. So there you can, this way you can have a specific domain for that branch. You can see it in the browser, you can test it, you can look if everything is fine actually. So this is done again with, it's very simple, just a small JavaScript code that push the host name to Cloudflare. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we have a two-step review process. So two people will look at the code, and if everything is fine, then that will be merged to master. At this point, this staging environment will be destroyed, and the same process will run against master. If everything's fine, great. If not, if it fails at any point, this will report back to GitHub, and whoever is responsible for that needs to take some action. So yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, we can talk after that. So yeah, feel free to reach to me. Thank you.